Our group chose to look at the overall impact digital technology has had on libraries. Our focus, specifically, was whether this impact was positive or negative. Our approach to this topic was to interview library staff and, based on their responses and our research, formulate an opinion as to whether digital technology is helping or hindering today's libraries.
What is the single most important positive and negative about technology for the library system?
Increasing exposure and familiarity with computerization is now the norm, and staying alive is a good option for any organization or profession. It is exciting to be in a constant state of expectation and change. The promise of new challenges brought about by instantaneous communication and the availability of information of all kinds makes it a wonderful time to be any kind of librarian. It may be frightening to hear that librarians and libraries are seen by some as becoming irrelevant. I really don't think that will be a problem for a number of reasons, and primarily because society always requires gatekeepers of information. So nowadays, when traditional reference desks are closing, librarians are answering questions about software and hardware accessibility. The Pickering Public Library, for example, has an iHelp desk, which helps customers, clients, patrons, and users load their Kindles or iPads and maximize use of their cell phones or use graphic software in new ways. Librarians aren't great theorizers, so fundamental conceptual issues about information and the provision of information are rarely addressed, in my opinion. Take a look at the ideas of librarians like Steve Abrams, Vice President of Innovation for Searcy Corporation. He is also the past president of the Ontario Library Association and past president of the Canadian Library Association. In June 2003, he was awarded SLA's John Cotton Dana Award. Or even look at futurists like Thomas Frey, Executive Director and Senior Futurists at the Da Vinci Institute, who comment on the future of libraries. Both are considered visionaries and leaders in the field, and while their comments are interesting and highly practical and result in real solutions, and while they individually are very smart and well-intentioned, they are not philosophically disposed. Overall, they are doing a great job in stirring librarians and libraries to get more involved in technological problems. However, our discipline hasn't had a good theoretician since Marshall McLuhan, and he has been dead for 30 years. So when the Ontario Library Association, the biggest library association in Canada, when recently asked to comment on the future of libraries, their keynote speaker Thomas Frey at their 2013 annual conference could only speak about libraries, quote, becoming production centers, unquote, and having 3D printers, both pretty old concepts, and in his admittedly brief presentation, under-theorized. The situation, in my opinion, again, is just as bad in academia in the library schools. Where theory should be expected and provided to public and specialized libraries, the university libraries are quite quiet and rarely heard from. As a result, our profession, being basically a clerical one, rarely talks about knowledge and information, medium and message, content and form at a philosophical or conceptual level. So when a library thinks it's being futuristic and progressive in telling us that the hardcover book is just one more format and that it needs to be replaced with its digital equivalent, have they rarely thought the issue through? Furthermore, when the same library lends out tools like hammers and drills, have they thought about what format really means and what content means? I'm not against lending out tools. Some libraries do lend out computers to disadvantaged youth. However, the issue needs to be discussed in some more sophisticated manner than has been in the case of in the professional literature. Other issues, not only concerning technology, need to be discussed in greater depth as well. Issues like the relationship between public and specialized libraries and the role of labor organization and a dispersed and part-time workforce brought about by technology.
Where will the library be in 5 to 10 years?
I would say that search engines will be less text-based, and we will be experimenting with different types of search engines, those based on sound and possibly taste. As a culture, we over-valorize sight to the exclusion of hearing and other sensory technologies. All sorts of music and voice could be searched by sound clips. Potentially, we could even be searching our recipes by taste and searching for various atmospheres, say for home decor and heath by smells. Much as medicine has become evidence-based or result-based, I think libraries will be called upon to justify themselves to funders in terms of specific results other than circulation and specific uses. Virtual reality will become a standard service. So for a student researching a Greek temple, he or she will be conducted through its corridors virtually. Increased connectivity and general library use will be achieved when we offer library service along the corridors of our mass transit. Having loading docks or book and movie dispensers at the GO station seems an imminent possibility. Just like W.H. Smith provided reading materials at the train stations of Victorian England, each municipality along the GO in 5 years will be doing something similar with electronic media. I can also foresee even greater community partnerships with both the private and public sectors as far as information provision is concerned. The public library enjoys excellent community standing, so it will be increasingly in the best interest for both small and large organizations to enter into functional partnerships with libraries in their communities, whether they be municipalities or larger political units.
Digitizing the library's print media. If so, can you go into it all, what that process is, and is there any specific software that you're using to create or manage those materials?
Yes, there is. But before I answer the question, by the library's print media, a lot of those things we actually purchase. So are you thinking books, journals, those kind of things? We actually purchase those. We don't actually have any rights to be able to digitize those. They're all held by the publisher's copyright. But we do have a program where we can digitize things that we do own. So for example, materials in the university archive, most of which discuss the history of the university. The university holds the copyright to those. So we can legally scan, describe, and post, make accessible via the web, those kind of things, as well as other content that may be unique to the university library that's being donated to us, or collections we've acquired, where we also acquired the rights, the actual legal and the moral rights to make reproduction. So the way that's done, so you can understand we don't digitize the standard kind of books and journal articles that we have at the library, and many other academic libraries have the same stuff. We try and digitize the things that are unique to our collection, where we do have the right to do that. With that proviso, I guess, we do have some software that's fairly standard across universities who would use commercial software, and it's called Content DM. And Content DM is a tool that can take scanned images and host them sort of in a digital library type environment where things can be searchable. So we have our cataloging people involved in adding descriptions if they don't previously exist to the materials that we scan. We also work with some third-party companies. An example is West Canadian in Calgary, and they do this on a commercial basis. So they can digitize things off of microfilm, off microfiche. They can scan they can scan books that have tight kind of binding that are otherwise difficult to scan ourselves. So we rely on third-party contractors. We receive then those digital files, and then we describe or catalog them and upload them into our software, which then makes them available online. And then we can also integrate that into some of our other library tools that we use to make accessible books and journal articles. So it's kind of a seamless, ultimately, it's more of a seamless process for locating the stuff that we then digitize. So I'm not sure if I described it that well, but so we, just to sum up, we digitize unique local stuff where we have the right. Other companies usually would be involved in digitizing back issues of journals, magazines, also some books. and they often sell those products back to libraries, which we would then decide to purchase or not.
Has the physical layout of your library changed in the past 5 to 10 years?
Oh, we wish it would change some more. This old building is much in need of help. But this has been my floor over most of these years. And
yeah.
I have changed it. I have taken out many, many shelves and put in working spaces and tables and spaces for people, and I've added power bars so people could plug in their laptops, and I've done things like that. There's still so much work to do, and some of those changes need to trickle down a little bit to the lower floors.
Okay.
But yeah, that for me it has. The physical building could really use some work.
Good. What about satellite libraries? The other out there, are they going through the same changes?
They're slowly renovating them, and when they do, they bring in more space. They bring in wiring for all of the tech.
Yeah.
They bring in space for computers. They bring in light and open space for people to work in, to come to. Welcoming spaces and colors, and that's pretty much the ongoing. But
so there's a lot of design process, into the design of making a library so that you feel comfortable, I guess.
Comfortable, yeah. You need light and space and the ability to access.
As technology takes society in a myriad of new and exciting directions, it has not left libraries behind. Although ongoing research is needed, we have found through our interviews with library professionals that overall, libraries have benefited from the advances in digital technology.